ride today. Now we're going to go over a few rules before we head on out. Now over here we have nice beautiful Salt Creek. Over there is raw mine floor, so it is not smooth like over here, so please use caution and watch your step. I don't want anybody to fall and get hurt. Now, you're going to board and exit the train from the left side only. You're going to fill from the front to the back, sitting 2 per seat. Children must sit with or in front of an adult for me. Keep your hands and feet inside at all times. Do not raise your hands above your hard hats. The ceilings do get low and salt is sharp and it will cut you. And then you have salt and a nice fresh road, which is no fun. So let's just keep our hands down. Now we're going to make 5 stops along the way. So stay seated at all times unless instructed to do so. If you drop anything along the way, whether it's a phone, hard hat, wallet, keys, loved one, let me know and I will get off and get it for you. Now this happens every time. I'm going to go grab those people. Every time. I will be right back and then we will head on out. Alrighty, you folks may go ahead and load onto the train. Remember, file from the front to the back. Children must sit with or in front of an adult.
是你们2个吗？啊，我坐你们2个前面。不是，那我就坐一个啊。那我要怎么照？没办法照你。这个摇来摇去，可以。来拍一张。购物。
Attention please. As we get ready to start our journey into the mine, remember, for your safety, you must remain seated at all times. Keep your hands and feet inside the train, and do not raise your hands above the top of your head. All aboard! Salt Mine Express. Bulkhead. A bulkhead is what the miners call a wall that was used to direct airflow. This bulkhead is made of 1.5-inch thick tongue and groove planks supported by 6-inch by 6-inch timbers and sealed with black tar paper on the backside to keep air from that part of the mine from coming into this side. It was slowly being crushed by the roof, but as you can see, it finally came down. On the platform are a couple of 2-thumbed gloves. In the 1940s, when this area was being mined, everyone conserved materials for the war effort. The miners would wear the gloves until they wore out the palms. Then they would wear them on the opposite hands, using the second set of thumbs until they wore out the backs of the gloves. Now, stories have been told that Mr. Carey, the owner of the Carey salt mine, was always after the miners to pick up their trash and not contaminate the salt. Well, apparently a miner rolled up these gloves and stuffed them in a blasting hole, because that's where we found them, 60 years later when we opened this part of the museum. Now, if you look closely at the salt wall to the right, it appears there's another glove stuffed in a blasting hole. What the miners call a roof fall. The pieces on the floor used to be the roof. But over a number of years, the salt started sagging away from the compacted mud layer above it and eventually fell. Now, even though only a few rooms ever develop a roof sag, everywhere in the mine that people will walk, drive, or ride, we monitor the roof, and sags are removed when necessary. Can you imagine how it must have sounded when this roof fell? From 1923 to 1983, the miners used a rail system to transport salt from the mine face to the salt skip, where it was hoisted topside. Then, in 1983, they switched to a conveyor belt system. On the left is a car that was used to haul salt, and railroad tracks that were abandoned when mining left this area in the 1950s. The miners would use the same rails and ties over and over, since bringing more down the skip was both time-consuming and costly. Our train crew ripped up and hauled back abandoned rails and ties from the mine that were used for our train track. Almost 5,000 feet of rail for the track you're riding on. At the next curve, we'll pass by other original cars used with the rail system, including a hand-wheel-operated rail-bending car.
We lose a head back there.
Just a hat. Thankfully the head wasn't attached. It's still on the cart though, so we're
Okay.
good. Thank you, sorry.
I call it losing a head.
Close enough. Thank you.